Hello and welcome. My name is Xander. I will be your instructor through this tutorial. Now, this tutorial is actually part of a whole course which you can access the first stages for free here on YouTube. Now, in this tutorial, I might mention resources and other tutorials. Do check out the link in the video description, which will take you to the playlist, and also there will be a link to the resources so that you can access and follow along here on YouTube. Now, if you like this course, you found it useful, and you want to take that next step, you can find this course over at Udemy. All the links to the resources can be found in the video description. Now, don't forget, also subscribe to the channel for weekly promotions, discounts, and free course giveaways. The delete statement in SQL is used to remove one or more rows from a table. It's one of the essential manipulation commands, along with insert and update. The delete statement is very much like insert in that we require a where condition, a condition that determines which rows should, in this case, be deleted. I won't formally introduce where in this tutorial. That is something for a later point, but once you do have better knowledge of filtering, you can loop back and start to use that more advanced knowledge to create much more complex delete statements. The deletion command is very simple to implement. The difficult part is obviously trying to create the condition where you select the right data to delete. Right, so we take a look at the basic syntax. We have delete from, the table name, and then where, and then the condition. Now here's the most important part. If no condition is provided, all rows from the table will be deleted. That's the important thing to remember. Now, we have already seen that in place. In actual fact, we've performed this command delete from multiple times, I think in the previous tutorial. So maybe we are already aware of that. It's just trying to remember that we don't always want to delete rows from the whole table. So providing that condition will allow us to select the records we want to delete. Okay, so the rest of this tutorial, we're going to take a look at some of the relationships we have already created and explore and see for ourselves firsthand what happens when we try to delete relational data from two tables where there are different on-delete settings. Okay, so let's start off with category and product. We have product foreign key over to category. So there must be a category. It must exist before we add a product in this case. So the scenario here is that if we, for example, set on delete to cascade, if we have a category and delete it, and there are products that reference that category in the products table, those products will also be deleted. Let's take a look at the SQL we generated. So we need the products. Now notice here we've set the category ID to on delete cascade. I think that is actually wrong. I wanted to set that to restrict, but it is set here to cascade, so no troubles. We can work with that. So that means that if, like I said, we have any categories associated to products, or products, sorry, associated to categories, if we delete the category, it will also delete the products. So let's see that in action. So I'm just going to delete some of the data from a database if it exists. Let's start fresh. And let's go ahead and create a new category. Okay. And let's view that. Select all from category. Okay, we need the ID 29. Okay, 28, 29. Okay, so because we know the category ID, we can now connect a product to it. Now, of course, we have learned how to return data when we run a query. I simply haven't used that yet here because I'm trying to force you to write more commands. So let's go ahead and add a new product. Okay, so we have a product now, which is connected to the category. And now we can go ahead and delete the product. So what's going to happen here is that if we delete the category, if we delete the category, that should also delete the product. That's the theory, right? So let's go ahead and delete the category. I spelled it wrong. Category. Let's try that again. So if we delete the category, it looks like the category has been deleted. But more importantly, if we inspect the product table, the products have also been deleted. So this was an example of cascades. Now, this might not be ideal in your case because if you accidentally delete a category and you've got thousands of products connected to that category through the foreign key of each of those product rows, then you have just now deleted all the products too. Now, of course, you're going to have a great backup plan, so that won't be a problem, but you can see the potential issue here. So we can set that relationship to other options other than cascade, of course, and we can see up here we do have a restrict in place. So if we were to change that to restrict, then we would simply see an error. We would be told that we cannot delete that, and we probably should see that in action. So let's do that. So here we have a category and we have a foreign key, a self-referring foreign key. So let's see this in action. We'll add some data here to an existing category, and we'll try and go ahead and delete the parent category. And if that was set to cascade, that would also delete any other category connected to that parent category. But in this case, we have restrict, so we should see that in action. Right, so we're going to build a parent or a child category. It's called a child category. So the parent category is called electronics. So let's just call this laptop. So this is going to be a subcategory. So let's call this laptop, true 1. Okay. So we specify the parent ID, which the first category has an ID, a primary key of 29, electronics. And then the name, the slug, is active in level. Right. So level, let's call this level 2 because it's a sub-level from the parent category. Right, so let's insert that in. Hopefully that goes in straight away. No, there's an error. Violates the foreign key constraints. Maybe I made a mistake there with the key. So let's have a look at the category table once again. Haven't accidentally deleted. Others have. I have deleted it, haven't I? So apologies. We just did that. So let's go ahead and add that back in. So this is the parent category. We're going to need the ID of that. So that's going to be 31. Okay. So now we can add the child category. Okay, looks like we're good to go there. So let's have a look at the category now. So it looks like we have the parent category electronics and then the subcategory or child category connected via the primary key through this foreign key 31. So let's see this in action now. Remember, we have set here restrict. So it means that if we delete this parent, then the subcategory should not be deleted, as well as the parent category cannot be deleted. So let's run a delete. I will just record this for you. So delete from category where ID equals 31. That's the parent category, remember? So if we try and run that, you can see that we get an update or delete violates foreign key constraint. Okay, so that is not allowed. So it's still referenced. So we still have a category referenced to the parent category that we're trying to delete. And that's what we're told. Of course, we can delete the child category. We should be able to do that. That is ID 32. So if I change that to 32, I can delete the child because that doesn't have any other dependencies. So there we go. So we now have the table just with the parent category once again. This tutorial allowed us to really just exercise the knowledge that we've learned so far. The outcome was rather obvious in that we have already set the cascades or the protects to avoid any data from being deleted, or where we want data to be deleted. If we do delete the parent row or record in the relationship. But it is something that you may want to explore further because there are different types of relationships, of course, and I'm not going to be working through all of them here. So we have this many-to-many relationship, and we do have cascade probably set on these foreign keys. So it would be interesting for you to insert data into products and promotion events, and then try and delete, in this case, try and delete a product or promotion because they are the parent records, if you like, for the child relationships, child rows or records, sorry, in the product promotion events table. So have a go at that and see what happens. What should happen is if you delete a product, it should delete the record in the product promotion event table. If you delete the promotion, it should be the same. It should delete any corresponding records in the product promotion events, which matches the ID, the primary key of the promotion event that you are deleting. Now, it's probably worth mentioning there are some more advanced cases that you won't see here, which you may end up creating in your database, in that you may have a table which has a relationship, maybe a foreign key relationship, one-to-many relationship over to a product. And then you may have a relationship from that product to another table that again has a one-to-many relationship. So the question is, what happens when you delete, say, a category and it's set to cascade? It then deletes the product. But then if you delete a product, you may have cascade set, so it then affects the table that is connected to through the one-to-many or foreign key relationship. So what happens there? So this is where it gets even more difficult or even more complicated, and you have to be even more careful how you set up the on-delete for your relationships, because you don't want to end up deleting a category and then further down the line, 4 or 5 tables later, you've also deleted everything associated to all of those records in a cascading approach. So very much like building software, developing a database, it can be key to test, to make sure that you have tested different eventualities to protect and prevent any errors in your data.